The Cinemassacre truth has got its own monster madness, and this variety is made especially for asses. But whose reviews are better? Well, you might be surprised, cause ours are actually funny and they ain't plagiarized. So order up some McDonald's, bundle up tight. We're stabbing the garbage out of Saturday night.
Doom is a science fiction action film from 2005 based upon the legendary series of first-person shooter games. Just when you thought I was done talking about imps, I am now bringing up a movie featuring several of them. The original games had an interesting juxtaposition between science fiction and the supernatural, along with some awesome over-the-top violence inspired by 80s horror flicks such as Evil Dead 2.
Swallow this.
Making a movie built upon these elements had potential to be something truly special. When this film hit the silver screen, it was widely seen as just another pitiful bastardization of a great gaming franchise. It has now been 20 years since this film first released, and given that Doom is one of my all-time favorite video games, it's definitely long overdue for me to put my masterful film curating skills to work on it. The only time I ever talked about Doom was for Screw Attack's Movie Quote of the Week, and this was my pick.
I gotta take a dump.
Alright, demons getting their heads blown off and some guy who has to take a dump. There's nothing more you could ask for.
Yep, I might be getting ahead of myself here, but I still say that this is the best line in the entire film. Anyway, let's take another shot at this adaptation and see if it's still deserving of the bad reputation it received all those years ago. As far as the plot goes, it's very loosely based upon Doom 3, which makes sense as it was the most recent entry at the time and also had a larger focus on story than the previous games.
The devil is real. I know. I built his cage.
It begins with a UAC research facility on Mars. Things have suddenly gone to shit as the scientists are being attacked by an unknown enemy. Back on Earth, a Marine nicknamed Sarge, played by The Rock, receives the order to send in his squad to neutralize the threat. Most of the characters here are pretty one-dimensional. You have the kid with a drug habit, a religious fanatic who cuts himself, a womanizing pervert, and the obligatory stoic badass named John Grimm, played by Carl Urban. Then there's Portman, who is of course responsible for saying,
I gotta take a dump.
and not to mention,
We're under a level 5 quarantine, so I am just gonna have to strip search you girls.
he's probably the most entertaining one, just for being an all-around crass, degenerate creep, kinda like Mike Matei. After arriving on Mars through some kind of weird liquid teleporter, the Marines meet up with John's sister, Samantha, another scientist who has been tasked with accompanying them to recover research data for the UAC. They spin out through the quarantine labs and quickly realize that something very strange is going on. The survivors are varying degrees of insane, and they also find monsters lurking around which steadily pick them off one by one. These scenes are probably the least interesting parts of the movie because they're so slow-paced. I know they're trying to build up suspense, but the horror aspect here falls flat as the payoff is usually nothing more than cheap jump scares with lab animals and other kinds of fake-outs.
Hey, I'm Justin.
However, when the monsters do show up, it's fucking great. They really do look like something straight from hell. What helps sell their appearance are the awesome practical effects, courtesy of Stan Winston and his team. For the demons, they used custom creature suits for Brian Steele and Doug Jones, actors who often play movie monsters such as Samael in Hellboy or the Pale Man from Pan's Labyrinth. It's interesting to note that the Doom games were heavily influenced by Aliens, which was also worked on by Stan Winston. In fact, this movie plays out a lot like Aliens. Both have a platoon of Marines being sent in to eliminate inhuman threats from the company's space colony. There's even a couple scenes that are almost identical. I guess you can say that the Alien and Doom connection had become full circle thanks to this film. Eventually, the group learns that the UAC has been conducting secret experimentation by injecting test subjects with a 24th chromosome from ancient Martian DNA. This 24th chromosome, or C24 as they call it, apparently has the ability to turn evil and imperfect people into contagious monsters and good people into superhumans. What? What kind of B-movie bullshit is this? You know what? Let's stop the review for a second. I gotta make a quick phone call. Hey John, can getting injected with the 24th chromosome give you superpowers depending upon your morality?
I don't know, man. I'm not a scientist. Fuck you.
Hello? Wow, what an asshole.
You may be wondering, what does this have to do with hell and demon invasions? The answer to that is absolutely fucking nothing. They do make several references to hell and Christianity throughout the film, but it's ultimately just a flimsy, half-hearted attempt to connect it to Doom's original premise. At the very least, the BFG does make an appearance, however, it's officially called the Bioforce gun. What the fuck does that even mean? To me, that would imply it is powered by a biological process and weaponizes it, but nothing about the Bioforce gun even suggests that. It seems the people making this movie found the game's concepts either too sacrilegious or far-fetched to put in the theaters, so what we get is essentially a poor man's version of Aliens, with zombies and a few demonic-looking creatures thrown in. Oh, so the idea of ancient Martian DNA that's miraculously intact after millions of years is somehow more plausible? The situation takes an absolute turn for the worse as one of the demons ends up traveling through the same teleporter from earlier, causing an outbreak back on the UAC's base in Nevada. The Marines follow in pursuit with the new task of containing the demons before they escape and infect the rest of the world. Something I do like about Doom is Sarge. At the start, he's shown as a sensible but firm leader for the Marines. Throughout the film, you gradually realize how utterly unhinged he is and is willing to do whatever it takes to finish the mission. It reaches a boiling point when he guns down the kid for refusing to kill a group of uninfected survivors.
Go to hell.
Holy shit!
But Rock is surprisingly convincing as a villain, and it's kind of a shame that he later on typecasted himself as a generic action hero. Man, I sure know how it's like playing the same role repeatedly until everyone is sick of it. A huge horde of zombies attack, which results in John and Sam being the last members of the group standing. Unfortunately, a ricochet bullet mortally wounded John during the chaos, so in desperation, Sam injects him with a vial of C24 to heal his injuries. When John comes to, it initiates this first-person mode where he goes on a rampage against the demons to save his sister. This first-person shooter sequence is considered to be the most memorable thing from this movie, and for good reason. It's a 4-minute long take of non-stop action while also finally feeling like the game it's supposed to be based on. One gripe I have with this scene is that it does kind of come out of nowhere, almost as if they threw it in at the last second to remind people that this is supposed to be a Doom movie. Wouldn't it be cool if there were more scenes shot like this? Another problem is how the filmmakers created this scene. In one of the bonus features for the DVD, they admit to using whip pans to cover up cuts and make the scene appear as if it were a seamless long take. I used the same trick in my own film, The Night Prowler, to make it look like that the main character was everywhere at once. However, this was before the Doom movie, which can only mean one thing: my movie was plagiarized. Anyway, John manages to find Sam, but he also runs into Sarge, who is now in the process of turning into a demon himself. Still enraged over Sarge murdering the kid, John challenges them to a fight that showcases their newfound abilities. Honestly, this part actually has some decent suspense, and good fight choreography fitting for a climactic final battle. Whenever Doom plays into the action aspect of the games, it pays off and is pretty well executed. If they spent less time on haunted house scares and more time on completely massacring demons, then Doom probably would have been a more enjoyable experience. Just when Sarge is about to get the upper hand, John activates the teleporter to pull him away, and finishes them off with a grenade. With every demon killed, the film ends with John cradling Sam as they take an elevator back to the surface. Ultimately, Doom is really just kind of average. It's undebatably a bad adaptation of the games, but as its own thing, it's a perfectly watchable Hollywood blockbuster. It suffers from uninteresting rehashing of sci-fi tropes, mostly one-note characters, and loose connections to the Doom franchise. On the flip side, the monster effects are fantastic, the action is consistently entertaining, and the music is fucking kick-ass. If you ever do end up in hell, I can confidently say that you won't find the Doom movie there. Mainly because I have exclusive rights to play marathons of the AVGN movie. For eternity.
Oh, I am very aware.